Content warning, y'all. We have lots of fun making this podcast, but remember, we watch a lot of R-rated films, use language that reflects that, and joke about heavy topics to create levity around these themes. If that doesn't feel safe or could be triggering, please take care of yourself. We want you to have fun listening too. This also means we might not be suitable for children. Oh yeah, and we spoil the end of all the movies we pod about. Thanks for listening.
You're dropping gems, and speaking of gems,
Poo-poo?
originally rhinestones were rock crystals gathered from the river Rhine. Hence the name, although some were also found in areas like the Alps. But today, the name rhinestone applies only to varieties of lead glass known as crystal glass.
Shit.
The availability was greatly increased in the 18th century when the Alsatian jeweler Georg Friedrich Strauss
Borg.
had the idea to imitate diamonds by coating the lower side of lead glass with metal powder.
Ooh.
Its rhinestones are called Strauss in many European languages.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, what else? Interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that rhinestones are often considered like tacky.
Yeah.
And diamonds aren't.
Well, and
That's really what's funny.
why?
Because there's nothing, diamonds are nothing. Diamonds, the only reason diamonds have any worth is because we say they have worth. They're not.
So like everything else?
Kind of, but like they're not actually like a precious jewel or whatever. They're not like.
They're not rare?
No.
Oh.
I don't, at least as far as I, like, it's basically like made up. Like, it's so weird the way that we, like, diamonds are like one of the, like, biggest, what is it? Like, scams, sort of scams.
Oh, I see.
Like, it's not, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But, like, from, like, they're not actually, like, you know, like, you can get a diamond, you know, with...
I don't know.
I don't know. They're just not... They're not the rarity that people claim. Or
okay.
that they're not the rarity that there is a...
It's not proportionate to...
Yeah, correct. Yes. And the fact that, like... And they're ugly. Frankly, I'm going to say this. Diamonds...
Don't try to tell me then that, like, don't make this some kind of political thing about, like...
Yeah?
Oh, we only assign value, and so, they're not actually more valuable than the human lives lost in mining them and processing.
I would never act that woke.
Acted that woke?
I would never act
Virtue
that.
signaling.
Yeah,
Remember
exactly.
that?
No.
I think that's been retired already, replaced by woke.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like virtue signaling is something I've heard from you more than I've heard from
really?
other people. You're welcome. Yeah, anyway.
It's thanks to all the leftist media I watch that
It's true.
covers Fox News. I get so tired of that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I said this in the pre-show, which you can hear if you become a patron today at patreon.com/ZNKpod. Become a patron and you'll get bonus content, extra episodes that you only hear exclusively on Patreon, updates exclusive to Patreon or something, or early access to updates.
Note
something,
to editor to add a sparkly
something that sounds like
sound.
And also, you get to pay us to do this job, which
Yeah.
otherwise
Don't you
we
want to be
don't
our
get.
boss?
You won't get any quiet quitting from us.
Haven't you ever wanted the satisfaction of being...
Being the boss of two of the most annoying workers you've ever been around? Never in either of our working careers have we ever been not reprimanded for simply being ourselves. Either of us.
Ooh.
You're so loud. Can you be less loud while someone across the hall is going,
That was me. That's who you're talking about, right? Across the hall. Quotes. Air quotes. Across the hall. Sitting across from me right now.
that was a good impression of you losing your shit while we're watching a movie, but no. I was making fun of someone named Michelle that I used to work with.
Michelle is on blast.
I don't remember her
main.
last name, so I can't out her. And Michelle is such a rare name that everyone would know who I'm talking about. She was just super loud, and she basically...
Michelle Rodriguez?
No. She was super loud,
Fired
and
from
she was the
Lost
one that
from-
when they said that there was no more smoking on premises, she was like, I guess we can't drink coffee either. No more soda. And I was like, okay.
Classic.
She didn't smoke. She was not a smoker. She never smoked. And she was so pissed
I
about
love this
that.
debate.
I know. And I was just like,
All the fresh takes.
right. I'm like, can you calm the fuck down? Like, it's like no one could smoke on premises anymore. I mean, not even in the building. I mean, I swear to God, though, one girl would vape indoors. And I was like, go outside. She's the vampire teabag. She would just walk around the building vaping, and I'm like, please stop.
It's so gross to me. Like,
I think it's rude if you're walking through a hallway vaping.
I
don't really care. Or like you're in the mall and someone's just like walking by you and being like, and you're like, I get it, but like,
I don't.
Stop. And I love how like vaping is like people are like, oh, it's better than smoking. LOL, JK, it's 1,000 times fucking worse than
Mom,
smoking.
I want to vape. Remember when Trump said that?
No, I don't remember that. I just remember that
it's sampled in my hit track lo-fi study.
I just remember that you say, Mom, I want to vape all the time. So I associate it with you. It's really in that. I listen to that all the time.
I know. It's the vocal part that you hear at the end, near the end of the track.
Oh, I see.
Someone told me they heard what they hear is, Mom, I want to make it.
Aw. Who told you that?
Ruth.
Oh, I see. I see. So, Rhinestone.
Well, and to your point, like, this movie is presumably based upon the song Rhinestone Cowboy, which is about glittery, showy,
interesting.
performative cowboys.
Really?
Yeah.
All I know from Rhinestone Cowboy is like a rhinestone cowboy. That's all I know of it. I don't know the lyrics.
I think it's a banger.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying those are the only lyrics that I actually know from it.
Well, I think if I remember right, it's like kind of a story from the perspective of someone who is
a country song
from a small country town, is a country musician, and is somehow big city famous.
Yeah. Okay.
Getting cards and letters from people I don't even know.
Cool. Okay, so
basically, you remember the song that opens the movie, the Dolly Parton song, where she's talking about New York isn't a place for.
Yeah.
It's basically that.
Yeah. I truly was the most worried about this movie. I thought I was going to like this movie the very least. And so I was very nervous about this. I knew Best Little Whorehouse because, we're doing Straight Talk, Rhinestone, Best Little Whorehouse, and then 9 to 5. I know I like 9 to 5. I've seen that. I was like, so if I hate everything, at least I'll like 9 to 5 and we can end, there. Best Little Whorehouse. I've never seen it, but I am interested to see it. If nothing else, I'm interested to see how that goes. Also, its connection
Doc,
to...
you're going to be disappointed.
And then, so Straight Talk, I thought sounded... I was most excited about Straight Talk.
Yeah.
To watch it. And I was most worried about Rhinestone. And when I tell you that it was... Oh my God. Straight Talk was real rough.
Super rough.
Rhinestone, I was fucking dying the whole time. This movie is fucking hilarious. Never in a million years would you tell me that, like, a fucking, like, you know, fucking Pygmalion-esque. No, that's what the trivia
totally.
said. Pygmalion was what it's based off of.
Oh, man. I love doing episode subtitles that are puns on Pygmalion. So, and also, boy, what a recurring myth that Hollywood loves to remake.
I thought it was, man, Tim Thomerson and...
Oh, so good.
Tim Thomerson had me fucking laughing when he fucking slides him over the beer, and it's literally all foam, and he just goes...
I like my beer real foamy, you know what I mean?
Just the way it's delivered does not seem... It seems like...
I felt like...
ad-libbed. It seems so ad-libbed because, like, nobody wants their beer foamy. Like, that's, like, the number one thing when you're pouring a beer.
And that's the take they kept.
Oh, God, it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. And when he's like, I love this guy. And then he walks off. He's like, I really hate that guy. Oh, my God. Tim Thomerson has really good delivery. I was excited about Meleager the Mighty being in this. Yeah. No,
Tim Thomerson, star of one of the ensemble members of The Wrong Guys.
Mm-hmm. Which I know.
Long-time listeners may be.
I know him
star
best.
of After Dark.
After Dark.
Near Dark?
Near
Dark 30, yeah. Near Dark.
Near Dark.
Vampire.
He was in Near Dark?
Yeah, remember, he's the farmer. He's the dad of the girl. Remember?
The girl didn't have a dad.
Okay,
the guy
well,
had the dad. Oh, he was the dad?
He's the one that does the blood transfusion.
I did not remember that. Oh my God. I know him.
I'll double check.
I was gonna say, what the fuck? I know him.
That's when you were like, Meleager the Mighty.
Yeah. I know him as Meleager the Mighty. That was my favorite episode of Xena Warrior Princess as a kid. I literally had it taped on a VHS tape, and I would watch it over and fucking over and fucking over because I thought it was so funny. I think there was like a fart noise in it at some point or whatever, and I thought it was really funny.
Yes.
Checks
out.
There was an episode of Hercules where the character Salmonius.
Is that the character played by the Raimi brother?
No. That's Joxer. Salmonius... He played in something else that we watched where he was like the tailor or like the guy working in a he was the guy working in a shop in Mannequin, I believe. So man, we've done a lot of movies.
Right.
So there was an episode of Hercules where Salmonius makes like flip-flops or something, but like with soft sandals, but he makes it out of like squirrel bladders. So when he walks, it just makes fart noises. Oh God! And I laughed so fucking.
That would have
hard.
been such a timely reference because of the trend of air.
Yeah.
And pump.
Yes. And I was like 9 or something, and the laugh that came from me, I was like, this is the peak of comedy. I was like, nothing could get funnier than this. It was so funny. It was just like
no. Making Mr. Right, probably.
That's what I thought you were talking about. That's why I said yes. Oh my God, Mannequin. Oh God, yeah, not Mannequin. Yes, Making Mr. Right. That's literally what I thought you were talking about.
Good.
Making Mr. Right.
You did it right.
I did not, but okay. Anyway, yeah. So Tim Thomerson plays Bartlett Kink.
Kale.
Plays Sebaceous Kale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
This guy?
Yep. Yep.
That's funny because the trailer
Right.
is clearly Sorbo.
Fucking. I think that's pretty much the worst part about like becoming an
Hercules?
adult.
Oh.
Is that Kevin Sorbo is just like the dumbest, idiotic fucking right.
Oh, he's so bad at being
and he's stupid.
right-wing shill.
Like he's
He's
I
just
don't
literally
say I don't say that lightly. I don't like calling people stupid, not because I'm like I think it's mean. I don't want don't be mean to people, but I think it's pointless to call someone stupid.
All the shows were on Fox, huh?
Huh? Yes. Well, they were.
I mean, Xena and
they were in syndication.
yeah.
So they were basically Fox and like UPN played most things on syndication. Yeah, like CBS and ABC, like all the major networks didn't really play syndicated anything. Sometimes they would, but like most of the syndicated shows came on Fox or the WB or UPN or something like that.
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah, they were shot in New Zealand.
Hence the Raimi of it all.
Yeah. And
what if it had been Jane Campion?
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Man, I used to respect her. Okay, sorry. Anyway.
White women, what are you going to do? Yeah, so Rhinestone.
Live without them.
Yeah. So, Rhinestone. Yeah, man, I was not expecting a lot. First of all, fucking Ron Lieberman.
Ron
Lieberman. That's what I said. That's what I said. It's fucking epic.
Also, it's Leibman.
Leibman? God, I'm
and maybe
sorry.
even. I mean, if we're doing Leibman, if we're doing the German pronunciation, but
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, he's playing like the slimiest fucking character ever, and I love him because he is
unhinged,
hilarious. Like you're supposed to be like, "Ew, he's so gross," and I was laughing at every time he came on,
over the top,
But every time he would like come on to Dolly Parton, I'm like, "This is so funny," and this is amazing that you're like, okay, yeah, I don't want them to get together or hook up, like no, but. It's coming off as more hilarious than it is slimy, and I feel like you have to be talented to be a dude commenting on Dolly Parton's tits and come off funnier than you are annoying or smarmy. Like you have to have skill.
I was really uncomfortable with the character, in his introduction, and only until I mean, it gradually gets more of a joke.
Yes.
And less a threatening feeling.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then when it comes down to him, like,
oh my God,
trying to trap her in his penthouse or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that part, I'm like, oh God, do we have to go that hard?
Well, yeah.
But at that point, he's just clearly just a joke.
Yes.
And that's hilarious.
Yes. But, like, right, at first you're like, oh, but anytime Dolly Parton interacts with him, she's just, like, taking the piss out of him.
No, I know, and I love that she does this in all of her movies.
Oh, my God.
She's so good at
just
checking people and, like, having the best quips and shit.
So good.
Serving that realness. I gotta piss.
I'd like to apologize to all our listeners for Keith. Everybody knows. Oh, that's one. We have to watch Exotica for the pod.
We have to watch Pump Up the Volume.
Okay.
I can't believe you've never seen it.
Does it have anything to do with Leonard Cohen?
Yes.
Oh, it does?
There is a famous part. It's a movie where its soundtrack was pretty popular.
Okay.
And one of the Concrete Blonde covers that song.
Gotcha. Okay, I see.
That's my first encounter of the song.
I see. We had to
I believe I have Exotica downloaded.
Oh shit!
I don't know.
That's a wild
one.
That one, and then there's one. That one's got. Oh God, who's the guy that played Pike in Star Trek? J. Broom's truck, Kelvin?
Couldn't tell you.
Bruce something.
Boxleitner.
No. That movie. And then there was another one. Like, he's in Exotica. Man, that movie is wild. I'm interested in rewatching it because that's a movie where, like, yeah, it's super interesting because, like...
It's from, like, the 80s, right?
No, it's from the 90s.
Okay.
It's got Mia Kirshner in it. And it's just, like, all of these adults that are connected, but you don't know how they're connected, but they show, like, flashbacks, and then you eventually see how they're connected. But it's not, like, a thing where it's, like, oh, you know, everything's connected. It's not, like, a hokey thing. It's just, like...
It's not like The Village.
Right. It's not like you're like, oh, whoa, oh, they all know each other because of something that happened.
Yeah.
And you don't really know what that is at first.
Right.
And then you start finding out what happened, and then, like...
So it is like The Village.
No, it's not like The Village.
Just kidding.
You don't have to interrupt everything I say trying to be witty. Yeah. Anyway, so Rhinestone. Ron Leibman as F.U.
Freddie Hugo.
Frankie Hugo?
Freddie Hugo.
Yeah, something Hugo. His initials are F.U. and he wears...
Also, Hugo is spelled U-G-O, which I just want to say Ugo.
A total fuggo. Because it's F. He's a fuggo.
Yeah. Yeah, all his shit is monogrammed with FU,
FU,
including the door to his penthouse. instead of an apartment number or whatever,
Yeah.
it just says FU on the doors.
I do. Yeah, no. This movie had...
Hey, every day's great when you're a rich kid.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, his ability to... when he was... When she said something like, what do you want? And he... Or, like, what could you... I don't know. She says something, and he, like... is very clearly talking about her tits, but he's like, oh. It was so funny to me because it was so overly dramatic and, like, not at all anything you would do to someone to actually try to seduce them, which made it so funny. And it seemed like almost like he was mocking her more than anything, which made it funny because, like, it's his tool for seduction is to try is to basically be like, oh. Like, you're so stupid. And everything he plays is, like, I think that's what made it funny for me is that, like, it seemed like he was playing everything like he didn't actually know what he was supposed to do and was, like, guessing wrong. Like, he thinks he's being seductive, but he's just being stupid and creepy.
Yeah.
But he's like, this is working, isn't it? And it's like, you can't, you're not picking up.
I mean, that tracks. It's like, touch my penis, I'll buy you a horse.
You're like, what the fuck?
If you know who I'm talking about.
It's so good. Yeah. He was my favorite thing because he just kept saying stupid shit and she kept, like, just absolutely creaming him. And he just was like, oh, this is banter, you know? And it was really funny to me.
So, the insane premise.
Yeah. So, it's basically like She's All That, like I said.
Okay.
In the pre-show.
Take your word.
Which I watched completely stoned out of my bonkers. And you were playing video games. And I thought it was so fucking funny. It's got Matthew Lillard singing, "Give It To Me, Baby." And it's so funny to me. Anyway, whatever. Bonkers premise is
FU owns the Rhinestone Club.
Yeah.
It's called Rhinestone, not the Rhinestone Club, but in New York City.
Yeah.
So it's a flashy
Yeah.
cowboy-themed club in the middle of downtown Manhattan. Mm-hmm. So there's some unnecessary, but obligatory racism that happens where...
Oh, yeah. I was like, I thought you meant in the club, and I was like, oh, fuck, what happens in the club? Yeah.
Anyway, Dolly, a.k.a. who plays Jake Ferris, I think. Anyway, it took me way too long to realize her character's name is Jake.
Same. They kept being like, there was literally a sign on the car that said "Welcome home, Jake," and I was like, "Who is that for?"
Right, I know. Same.
What?
She's under contract.
Uh-huh.
With Frankie.
Uh-huh.
She's got another 3 years on a contract.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's trying to break new country music stars.
Mm-hmm.
And is striking out like everybody, and by this time, the Rhinestone has gotten a rep for having a very tough crowd who love to, a lot of hecklers to trash the new talent.
Although I did find the beginning when the guy was singing about his girlfriend getting like chewed up by.
As fast as I could, but all I found was chunks of my sweetie smeared all around, big hunks of my darling on cold, cold ground. Oh, yeah.
Which, as we discovered, like, it was like all in credits, all music and songs written, performed by Dolly Parton, except for that song
and Rhinestone.
Well, yeah, and Rhinestone Cowboy.
Which I honestly thought that was one of her songs. I thought the reason why she was in it and why the premise was like based on that was because it was a previous song that she had made.
I thought it was written by Glenn Campbell, but apparently not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that song and something else was written by Mike Post, who he wrote a lot of television theme songs and music, including such hits as Magnum P.I. And was it Law and Order?
Yes. You said Law and Order.
Yeah.
Last night, so yes.
And Hunter and Rockford Files. Pod favorite as far as TV themes go.
Yeah.
Street Talk.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, did he make the music for Straight Talk? Is that why?
That's all Dolly.
As previously discussed in, I think, a very early episode of the podcast, I think the one about, I can't remember if it was the one about Harry and the Hendersons or the Gung Ho one, but first or second episode.
Yeah.
The 80s had a thing about, specifically about, like 80s movies, I should say. 80s movies had a thing about, like, Asian racism. Like,
yes.
Okay, so we're not talking about... I'm
Japanese,
not talking
specifically. About Japanese tourists was a big thing. Big stereotype that people loved.
But it was specifically, like, it wasn't about, like, casual or systemic. It wasn't like that. It was like...
Right, because it's not about Japanese Americans, usually.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
what I'm saying,
Sorry.
I'm trying to say something.
Let me get in there.
I know. You're like, shh, I want to talk for you. Okay. So, it was like, if a movie had nothing to do with, like, Asian culture, Asian people, they would find some way to put someone who was Asian into a movie.
Yeah.
So they could make fun of their name or
Long
their
Duck Dong.
accent or something. No, but Long Duck Dong is a character in the entire film.
Well, that's true.
Yes, I'm no argument about the blatant racism. Not saying that wasn't very apparent and very present in that movie. But I mean, like, Harry and the Hendersons, how they have, like, an Asian mailman just so they can mock his name or whatever.
Isn't it the gardener?
Huh? Oh, maybe the garden or whatever. You know, just so they could, like, mock his name or accent or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't remember specifically what it was. But they, like, it's a character. It's a throwaway character, and it's literally put in there just so they can do this.
Doesn't Down and Out in Beverly Hills, too, have, like, a Japanese-American gardener? Or maybe it's a
I don't know, but they have the
Japanese
New Year or whatever at the end of the movie.
Isn't it Chinese?
Chinese New Year's. That's what I said.
Sorry. Anyway.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, they it was like something in there to like mock.
Yeah.
And with this one, the whole thing is about cowboys, and it takes place in like Arkansas or Kentucky or whatever.
Tennessee,
like I said. I said or whatever, that counts. I'm just kidding. And
her hometown is
have
Leapers Ford. Dolly Parton is originally, everyone knows, from Pigeon Forge.
Oh, interesting.
Everyone knows this.
So they have like Asian tourists in a cab, you know, at the beginning. And it's like shoehorned in some weird, and I don't know what it was about, specifically the 80s. They were like, you know what you know what this movie needs? It needs an Asian character to mock. And it's so fucking weird to me because it's like, it's not just that it happens, you know, because like there's like, and I'm not trying to do this thing where I'm like, you know, like regular racism is fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying like it was like a Tina Fey, you know, jam or something. I'm really into mocking her lately because she's so. I've seen a lot of things where she specifically picks on and mocks Asian people.
That's cute.
And is like all
That's
of
fresh.
her things, everything that she writes
has something in there
where it's like very, very blatantly, completely like racist towards the Asian community specifically. And she does a lot of jokes about Asian, and people like have been pointing it out and like showing clips and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, what? How do you think this is okay? Like, she did.
She keeps getting work.
Who the character in Kimmy Schmidt?
Yeah.
Who was like.
Oh yeah, what was his name?
Yeah, something racist or whatever.
I don't remember.
Yeah, something that sounds like, you know, big dick or something.
Right.
You know. So yeah. Anyway, that was something that I was just like, what the fuck? Like.
Yep.
I don't understand.
Well, and then Kimmy Schmidt in particular really goes hard
sure.
on.
But no, I mean, like, I'm like, what the fuck about like the '80s shit?
Yes, it sticks out so wildly now because it seems so, as you said, shoehorned in. It's just like, why is it there?
Forced.
And one thing about it is, I'm like, in a way, I don't know how accurate this is or like what to make of it if it is the case, but it's like in some ways it's like moving away from like white and African American.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in the 70s, you know, I mean definitely there was blaxploitation movies and you could make like there's shit like Blazing Saddles, right? Where like I don't know, like at least people were talking about it. I mean, like, I'm not saying it was done well. I guess I'm thinking of it similarly as I love to go on about how, you know, like Three's Company as an example of like, sure, it's a joke that he's pretending to be gay, but it's not weird that there's gay people in the world, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And you can talk about it. And, and
right.
it's a joke, but it's also like, you know, there's probably going to be a very special episode where there's an actual gay character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas by the time we got to the late 80s and 90s, there's just no gay people at all.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like somehow this is like a safer version of racism that you could do in comedies.
Yeah.
It's also like
Asian people don't live here.
Right.
Or something, you know, you're like, what the fuck?
But it's specifically, I mean, it's almost exclusively at this time. I mean, and I know this was largely due to, like, we talked about this. I know we talked about this somewhat when we did do Gung Ho. There was a lot of anti-Asian sentiment at the time because Japanese cars were out selling better on the U.S. market than an American-made.
Dare they?
I mean, it really seems just like the plot of Gung Ho. Yeah. It's that's it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But, like, people were murdered.
Yeah.
And shit over this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is real rich when it's not even 40 years after we dropped the fucking bomb on Japan.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The only time in human history
Yeah.
nuclear devices have been used as a weapon.
How about those internment camps that we had?
That too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's...
Anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, America's pissed because, like, how dare you rise from the ashes and kick our asses?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I put myself on the spot. So Jake is under contract from Freddie Fuggo and has 3 more years to go, and she's disgruntled about it because
Sucks.
he harasses her for one thing.
He harassed her, but also I think she is wanting to... God, I feel like I can't hear myself at all, but I can see it.
That's how it goes, man.
She... I think it's like her stuff is going nowhere. Like, she's under contract for him, so she can't,
Right.
like, go elsewhere or do anything. And she's just, like, stuck in, like, a nightclub.
Yeah, she feels like she's plateaued.
Yeah.
Also because she's, like, the house band and...
Yeah. She's the main draw.
All these
Yeah.
shitty other acts keep coming through, so she's like, you're bringing me over, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so they make a ridiculous wager,
Hell yeah.
like you do, where, help me out here, because, are you all right?
Yeah, it's just like, is someone starting a fire in the park? I mean, probably. It just sounds like, it smells like wood burning.
Okay, Mark Anthony.
Like, when you
This is my fart.
It's your fart. No, you know how, like, you go to the gas station and you get, like, logs of wood from the gas station? And then you start a fire in your backyard? That's what it smells like.
Gas Station Logs. The new album from...
Yes.
She's like, okay, I could make somebody a star
Freddie Fuggo.
better than any of these trash guys you bring through.
That's how it starts out.
Oh, yeah, you want to bet on it? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you out of your contract. If you do, you have 2 weeks. And he's like, if you lose, then you gotta have sex with me.
And add 5 more years to your contract.
Yeah, which, by the way, you notice when, in the third act, when they get back to New York, he's like, 5 more years, baby. I feel like he's just saying...
Oh, yeah.
Not a total of 8.
Right, yeah. Oh, God. Well, that's a curious thing. Is the contract for 3 years total? Or is there 3 more years on the contract?
If I remember right, she says there's 3 more years to go on her current contract.
What do you got to bet with?
Well, I bet the 3 years left on my contract. If I win, you tear it up.
Oh, I do love a broad with pizzazz. All right, I'll tell you something. If you win, I'll tear up the contract. But if you lose, the contract stands, plus another 5-year option.
Okay.
And the wager is 5 more on top of that.
Oh, God.
I know. She shouldn't. She should not have taken this bet.
No, yeah. It's just like lose, lose, lose.
But then it's also like, first of all, then there's like, I don't know how many scenes where.
I like how you're like moving so I can see your face around the microphone, as if I don't see it all the time.
Like, because they haven't been detailed enough in their wager, they're just like going out and like, here's a guy, a homeless person.
I like how she says they have to. They can't be.
A leper?
Well, she says something like it can't be something, a leper or dead.
Right? Yeah. I'm going to take that bet. But let's get something straight right up front. No weirdos, no lepers, and no dead people. So just some average, normal person. Got it?
And then...
What the fuck?
So he, like, pokes at a bunch of, like, homeless people. I feel like she says something like they can't be, like...
Bums or something?
Yeah. And so he just she says something about... And I'm like, these are not, like... like, not to say, like, you couldn't find, like, a homeless person and help them out. That's not what I mean. It's just, like, he's specifically picking people. He's trying to pick people that are, like, not responding to, like, human conversation. And I'm like, that's not...
The first guy he gets to sing Camptown Races.
Yeah. After poking him with a stick.
Poorly, with his cane or whatever. And then the next guy is a guy who just runs into traffic and has drumsticks, and he's just drumming on the street.
Which I've met that guy.
Totally.
I've met that guy, and that guy threatened to stab me with those drumsticks. Yeah. That guy said, I'd like to impale you on these drumsticks. And then he said, do you want to go out with me sometime? And I said, I really don't. And he said, wow, that's really rude.
I said, well, why you always be wearing giant headphones? It makes me hard to holler at you.
How are males supposed to talk to you when you do that? I love gothic females.
We're referencing a TikToker.
Some TikToks.
Because we're cool and hip. Yeah, we know what's what.
We're cool. We're cool.
We know what's mid-based AF. For real. Fam. I'm giving Z the vapors.
It's true. I am vexed with the vapors. Yeah, so she's like, the next normal person that I see, and then the next person is that Sylvester Stallone
drives his cab onto the sidewalk, looking at her tits, presumably.
It's so shitty because he was like, "You're the reason I crashed my car," and she's like, "What do I have to do with it? Like, I didn't even see you until you like crashed your car." And he was like, "Well, I was obviously staring at you and not looking at traffic, and that's why I wrecked my car." I know it's so shitty, but it was so funny just the way he delivered it. Like, it doesn't take a genius to figure out it's your fault because I was staring at you.
I love the joke that when he gets to Lepers Creek or whatever, that everybody's like, he's pretty dim-witted, huh?
I know. That was something that I was thinking about with the movie. Like, I think it does a good job of portraying like country folks as being a separate culture, like a different world.
Yeah,
but not stupid, not ignorant. They're
right.
Having their
They're
own...
not the butt of the joke at all.
Exactly.
I mean, except for Tim Thomerson and his crew, but...
Well, yeah, but Tim Thomerson is the joke because he's an asshole.
Right.
And
not because he's a hick or whatever.
Right, exactly. And he seems like he's more of a fake. He's portrayed as being more of a fake than anything.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I'm actually kind of impressed with that because it's not... There, it's showing that there's a clash of worlds.
Yeah.
But it's not like making, yeah, I don't know. It's just done really interestingly.
It's very easy to... You've seen the version of this movie where the big city slicker goes to the small country town and, the hijinks are about the hillbillies being dumb. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's Northern Exposure, basically.
Okay. I'll take your word on that.
Except that it's Alaska and not Appalachia. I don't think we actually tied in the weird casual racism to what happens is that when we first encounter Stallone...
Sylvester alone.
What is Tim Thomerson call him? Like Nick Maritanello.
Oh my God, I don't know.
His name's Nick Martinelli.
Yeah. And he calls him like Marinello or something, and he's like, it's Martinelli, and
It's
he's
so
like
good.
Maritinello or something. I don't remember. He says it wrong. It's so fucking funny.
Boys, I want to meet Nick Martinonello.
No. Martinelli.
Oh, excuse me, Nick Martinonelli. Hey, how's about a beer, boy?
Anyway, he picks up the first time we see him, he picks up the fare, which is three folks that we see. We first see that they're all wearing cowboy boots.
Yeah.
And then we see that they're presumably the trope of Japanese tourists.
Yeah.
And they get in there like, oh, we want to go to the sushi bar. And he's like, okay, great. Sushi bar. I can take you to a place. Sushi bars are popping up all over the place these days. Talk to Ryan Howard about that.
Ryan?
Ryan Howard.
Who's Ryan Howard?
On The Office.
Yep. Why did I forget that?
Because it's BJ Novak.
That's fair. Yeah.
And he drives like a mad.
BJ Novak, second only to James Woods. I'm just kidding.
In what capacity exactly?
Attractiveness.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Second only.
BJ Novak isn't second to James Woods, but he is on my Fuggo list.
So he's driving like a ridiculous person. Not even it does not make sense the kind of bad driving he's doing.
Yeah.
He's just driving into traffic and swerving all over the place.
Yeah, and
Not because it doesn't seem to be because he's going too fast or anything.
no, he
It's
just is
being ridiculous.
incompetent. Yeah.
Which I guess is the joke.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the folks on the back are just bouncing back and forth. And then eventually they just change their mind and they want to go to a cowboy place.
Right.
Which is, did we have him? Yeah. Anyway, so he takes him to Rhinestone. Wrecks his cab in the process. But because of his timing.
Yeah.
He becomes the subject of the wager.
Right. Which I think is so funny. It's always like really funny whenever they're like, here, pick this person that America has deemed one of the most attractive people. I don't find Sylvester Stallone remotely attractive. I get the appeal, but like he's just not, But like it's hilarious. It's just like
so I forget how slim he was before he got all roided out,
Oh my God, I know. I was like, Jesus Christ.
I think he's pretty hot in this movie.
Yeah, no, I mean like that's what I'm saying.
Nice
like,
bod.
I understand the appeal.
He's wearing skin tight shirts the whole time.
Constantly. I understand the appeal. I'm just saying like he's not somebody that I would
No, yeah.
But like they're like, "Oh, pick him." And she's like, "What? I wanted someone normal or whatever." And like
I know.
she's like, you can't give me. And I'm like, I love this premise. She's All That does the same thing. It's like, what's her fuck? I can't remember what her name is. Rachel something. Rachel Lee
Dolezal.
Cook. Rachel Lee Cook. Fuck off. Like Rachel Lee Cook is supposed to be like the Fuggo of the movie, and like.
Oh yeah, this was my problem with.
Literally, all that happens is they take her glasses off.
Yeah, right. Classic.
It's just like so kiss me.
Oh, I see.
That fucking song was like the rage back then. 1999. Oh my God. Like, well, from like
Inescapable.
From like 1997 or 98 to like 1999. That song was in everything, everywhere, all of the time.
I didn't even see any movies with it in it, and it was
inundated.
Constant.
It was like
it was.
Dawson's
to this day,
like
I can't go into a grocery store without hearing it.
It's so bad. Anyway, yeah, it's oh my God. Kiss me. Beneath the milky twilight, leave me out on the.
This is how you know sexism is over in heterosexual relationships, because I'll wear that dress and you wear those shoes.
Yeah, so Sylvester Stallone says no thanks to the bet. They invite him in.
I do like the scene where it's him and Jake and Fuggo at the table trying to hammer out the details, and he's like, Stallone is like, do you mind? I'm trying to talk to the lady here.
I love it.
He's trying to chat her up. Clearly misunderstanding
The part where he's pouring champagne for Dolly and himself, and then he starts to pour some for Stallone, and he pours the beer in there instead. What is happening?
I don't know.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Just don't drink it, bro.
I know, right? Yeah. Just drink a beer. So, yeah. And then hijinks
ensued. I had no idea this movie involved a giant middle section that all took place not in New York.
Right. And also, like, Sylvester Stallone's character, Fuggo
Nick Martinelli.
Like,
I like the apple juice.
Like the apple juice.
Martinelli's.
Oh.
Sparkling apple juice?
Oh. Never had it.
You've had Martinelli's sparkling apple juice.
Sparkling apple juice? No, I haven't.
Well, okay. Sparkling juice.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I don't. Okay. I'll take your word.
I'm so incensed right now.
I know. You're you are TO'd right now.
I'm really ticked over. So they go to Dolly's.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what I was saying. Nick Martinelli is like, I mean, his fashion in this movie. I mean,
so good.
Oh my god!
He's got all these amazing printed T-shirts.
Just amazing. Like all these things that he's wearing are ridiculous.
So good. And at one point, he's got a.
I think his fashion is supposed to be a joke, but like legit, I would wear every single item of clothing that he wears. Like absolutely, except for like when he starts dressing.
I mean, I think it's actually probably pretty cutting edge for '84,
like,
right?
Yeah, he looked amazing. Like all of his outfits were fucking rad. I would wear every single one of those.
I never deciphered the first T-shirt he's wearing. It's got like Batman or some shit on it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
And then he spends a lot of the second act in that yellow shirt with a skeleton on it.
Yeah,
Classic.
That was so hot.
But then there's one scene where he's got that shirt where it's like a shirt with a bunch of cameras over it. Like he's wearing a bunch of cameras around his neck.
Oh my
so
god.
Good. And he's got that one button down that's like gray and then got like a tuxedo front.
Oh, love it.
That he has like one buttoned.
Oh my god.
Anyway, we're all over the map trying to talk about this movie, I feel like.
It's true.
The charm of this movie is actually the fact that it does seem like people are having fun.
Yes.
Seems like it shouldn't work. It seemed like it didn't work at the time. Nobody appreciated it.
Right.
I think this is true. We'll see with the other two movies we're doing, but I kind of feel like this is going to be true of all of these movies.
Yeah.
With Dolly, that like, you know, the chemistry between her and the leading man is like not all that believable, but I don't need it to be because she's so good in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely
Right.
Straight Talk suffers from a lack of, well, I should say,
From James
an excess of James Woods.
Yeah.
But
Existence of.
Like I don't really think that they're that attracted to each other, but they do have a chemistry that is nice.
Yes.
And you can tell it feels like they're making each other laugh for real. And Stallone he clearly commits. He goes so hard. The scenes where he's like playing music on his own, you know what I mean?
Oh my god.
When she first comes up to his place and to see his organ.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
Oh my
and
god.
then when
his parents are funeral directors or whatever, and he's literally just like playing the organ, and he's like, what is it like? Goodness gracious, he's singing like.
Oh, he mixes up like all the classic rock and roll.
Oh my god, and he's just like playing the organ, and then it shows downstairs there's a fucking funeral happening. Oh my god, I was laughing so fucking hard, just the way it is, because he's being
just the whole way they introduce his family in the movie is hilarious.
His mom being a bitch, that shit was so
throwing the plates down.
Oh my god. But this is the best part. Like the husband, she's just like throwing the plate down and like the cannolis just flying everywhere. And then
racist.
And then how's it racist?
Cannoli.
What?
Is it actually a cannoli? Do they say it's a cannoli?
It's a cannoli. That's what a cannoli looks like.
Okay.
Look, I've never had a cannoli.
You sure it's not a calzone?
No, it's not a calzone. It's a cannoli. Have you
All
ever? It's a pastry, and it's got the cream in the middle.
It's got the cream. It's
a
cannoli.
Look, I'm going to say this. This is a exclusive for this. My sister once was engaged to
a cannoli.
One of a family member of a famous cannoli brand.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I didn't know there were any famous cannoli.
It's like an Italian cannoli like maker. Like he was like rich because his family made cannolis and they sold their recipe and like you could find that shit in stores and stuff like that. And I was like, cool. What's a cannoli?
Right.
Still never had one. I always wanted to try one because of that, but I never had one.
Probably eggs, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it's just like egg on egg. They look delicious. But yeah, I know what a cannoli is only because I had to have it explained to me.
I didn't realize I got to dessert, but it makes sense that he's like, be a pastry maker.
Right. She throws down the cannoli and then she brings him coffee.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. It's the dessert portion. But what's funny is she like sets everything down, but then when she's bringing it to him, she's so gentle. It's so fucking funny. Right. Oh my God, I love it. When she gets to Dolly, she's behind Dolly and she does something. She's like, she does some kind of motion. Great. Like, so it's so fucking rude. And
their introduction, so all of that is great and so hilarious to me. It was painful to me when we get back to New York and he performs for the family and then everybody's singing Funiculi.
Oh my God.
That's rough.
I like how I did like the part though how she was with his family and she's like, this is so uncomfortable. I was like, girl, yes.
She's like, now I know how you feel.
Yeah, she's like, wow, this feels terrible. Thanks for doing this. And I was like, yes, girl. That's exactly what it's like to meet the in-laws.
The guy who plays his dad is so convincingly looks drunk in that scene that I would not be at all surprised if he was drunk during
Trivia
that scene.
Didn't say one way or another.
Well, trivia, come kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, really surprising that this movie was any fun at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it is.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I could, it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Unlike Straight Talk.
Correct. Yeah. I wasn't.
It's kind of a novelty. I mean, if you are a fan of either of these, Dolly or Stallone, then probably it's worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly,
if you're a fan of Ron Leibman, definitely watch it.
Definitely, seriously. Because Ron Leibman is freaking epic.
I mean, I feel like it's probably pretty obvious. If you have any kind of eye for this sort of thing, I don't know what that means. But clearly all the musicians, well, they are credited at the end. But, all the bands, like the house band at the Rhinestone, the Possum Fathers Jug Band or whatever. And then there's a house band at the Cunt Slice. Is that what it's called?
Possum Fathers?
Nose possum arc.
When he tries to give him the tacky outfit.
Oh yeah, so
and he's like, I don't want it, and they kind of start going back and forth. He's like, I want you to have it. He's like, I don't want to have it. And he's like, I want you to have it though. And he's like, it's actually really ugly. And he says, I'll clean it and then have it burned.
My favorite part about that scene was that at the end, Stallone says, "Bye suit," as he puts it back in the closet.
So, trust me when I tell you that this is the ugliest garment I've ever seen.
Well, it sure as hell is. And, I've been trying to dump this eyesore for years. I believe I'll have her cleaned and burned.
Good idea.
Good night, son.
Good night, Noah. Good night, Suit.
Which I feel like was probably improvised. All of those bands are established country musicians. Mm-hmm. I thought there was a missed opportunity. This is the sort of music history nerd part of me or something. They go they go up to Nick's apartment and he's got all this Elvis shit around and he's clearly a fan of early rock and roll.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I hate country music.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Well, yeah, I know.
Dolly could have been like, hey, it's like one click removed from Elvis and, I don't know, Hank Williams or something.
That was the thing that was like really interesting to me, like growing up, is realizing how close, like, classic country and rock and roll were.
Right.
They were like almost indistinguishable in the past.
Right. I mean, Johnny Cash is like the best example.
Right. Johnny Cash was like a country singer, but he's obviously rock music, how we would define it today. But it's not. It's country, you know, and it's like back then those genres were closer together than they weren't, Yeah. And that was something that was really fascinating.
Well, and rock basically, you could make the argument that rock is country and western mixed with all the different flavors of black music.
Yes. Absolutely.
Gospel and everything else that was blues.
Yes. And honestly, I mean, I don't know how to say this to where it's not going to sound like hyperbole, because I don't mean it that way, but like most music styles in general are taken from black,
especially in the
artists. US. Yeah. Like punk came from black artists,
Yeah.
Like most every genre of music, like it was stolen from black folks. So, yeah.
My favorite thing about the British invasion is that is British
colonization.
Yeah. English artists covering black American musicians. Yeah. And then white American kids being apeshit for it. It so perfectly encapsulates the U.S.
How about Billy Joe Armstrong when the Roe v. Wade was turned over, saying something like he wants to move out of the U.S. or something because, it's
because he can't get an abortion no more?
Right. No more. I just like when white people specifically are like, oh my God, my freedoms in America are being stripped away. I should move out of this country.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's cute. Look at you.
Yeah, you really, it's like, here's my ass.
Yeah. Like, I get that this country sucks, but it's like, you know who it really sucks for? All the people who had their land stolen, and all the people who were stolen and brought here from their land, and
to build your shit.
Yeah,
so you could
who you stepped over and profit off of, even like passively.
This place sucks.
And then you're like,
it's not even fun living here.
Exactly. You're like, what? My rich ass could move out of the U.S. in a heartbeat, so I might just do it. It's like, okay, well, guess what that's going to help? Nothing. Because you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. Like a white man being like, I'm going to move out of the U.S. because abortion's illegal. You'll never have.
I'm actually really disappointed. I always looked up to him politically.
Are you being serious?
No.
Are you giving up?
Well, I got
Okay. We can wrap up. Okay, let's wrap up. So, would you recommend? 10 out of 10, would you recommend?
I
know, but I didn't say the thing. So, would you recommend? I would recommend if you just for Stallone's fashion alone, honestly. I'd recommend for that.
You could do worse.
Yeah.
I think if you're an honest fan of
sure.
Stallone or Dolly.
I think it's
this is definitely going to be, I don't think she's made all that many movies, right?
Right.
We're definitely covering like what I consider the most well-known of her films. This is definitely going to be in the top 3.
Also, I think it's something.
4.
It actually is like I've never seen Stallone in this kind of capacity before.
Right, and
even
I stand by what I said in the lobby earlier when I said I have a new respect because he took some risks.
Yeah.
Like
Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. That was like really painful. But like watching that, he was not the most painful part of that movie.
Correct.
And I said that at the time. I was like, wow, how is he like?
Yeah, he's
not
not
the best part of this
in
movie.
comedic roles.
Right. And then watching this, seeing him actually with people that know how to act, as opposed to Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, with like a semi-logical plot, with
Still Getty was on Broadway. We've already established that.
it was, I was like impressed. I was like, oh shit, like it's, it wasn't his fault that Stop or My Mom Will Shoot sucked. Baby needs
It's not.
pee-pee. But yeah.
Yeah, you could do worse. I mean,
You could do worse. You could do worse, and I'm sure you have, and I'm sure you will.
I mean, I also think it meets a. It sits
It was
in
really funny
What?
to me. It was really funny to me. The whole
The movie?
It was so funny. I
Yeah.
laughed so much more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be. I didn't really know that it was a comedy, so it did throw me in that way. That I didn't realize how funny it was supposed to be, but there was so much like dry humor in it, and it really got me, man. I laughed.
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah, yeah.
I
No,
literally
it's-
had to pause at one point. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Oh my god! When he told her she sounded like baby Hitler.
Oh my God! What?
He said she sounded like baby Hitler. And I said, you have to pause. You have to pause the movie. Poor Keith. Keith is suffering.
Yep. Fuck it! I'm gonna move out of this country.
I heard this guy talking and stuff all night long, and it sounds like fun.
But it didn't sound like fun when I tried to do it, right?
'Cause you sound like baby Hitler.
When he loses this violent temper, would you consider him capable of murder?
White women, what are you going to do?